The transport shuttle bucked once, hard, then leveled out into a gentle descent. Turbulence, the pilot had said, just atmospheric distortion from the medical moon's gravitational folds. Nothing to worry about. Still, Thomas Keller clenched the armrest tight enough to make the synthetic leather creak. He wasn't afraid of flying, he was afraid of what waited on the ground. "Touchdown in 2 minutes," a calm voice said over the speaker. Tom exhaled and let go of the armrest. He tugged at the hem of his uniform jacket gray with a blue shoulder patch, stamped with InterSpecies Emergency Response, and leaned forward to peer through the porthole. Below them, the veterinary complex of Drelth Prime spread out like a cluster of white domes on shifting lavender soil. He'd been told it was a state-of-the-art facility. Top tier, fully equipped to handle the biological complexities of over 1,000 known species, and yet they'd called for a human. The shuttle touched down with a hiss of vents and a dull thud. As the hatch opened, a wave of sterile, ionized air hit Tom's face. He stepped out, duffel slung over his shoulder, boots crunching softly on the landing platform's textured polymer. A tall creature, vaguely reptilian with long limbs and smooth, violet skin, stood waiting. It wore a long white coat and held a datapad in its thin fingers. "You are Thomas Keller?" the creature asked in heavily accented Terran standard. "That's me," Tom said. "You the one who called Central?" "I am Vet Tech Supervisor Halen," it said. "We are very grateful for your arrival. There is an incident, a containment breach, one of your Earth origin creatures." Tom's brow furrowed. "A dog." "No, it is registered as a Canis-Lycoid hybrid, brought in by a merchant vessel from your Mars colony. The crew failed to mention its temperament." Tom's stomach sank. "You're telling me it's a wolfdog? That term matches the description." "Yes." He followed Halen through a series of sterile corridors, passing other alien staff who gave him a wide berth. Halen spoke again after a moment. "We attempted basic sedation protocols. The creature resisted. It has damaged 2 containment chambers and is currently confined to quarantine cell 9. Tom slowed. "Is anyone hurt?" One technician sustained limb trauma. "He is stable, but the beast is agitated." The last door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a reinforced observation deck. Behind a thick pane of transparent alloy, a large creature paced. Gray-black fur bristled along its back. Its golden eyes were locked on the door. Saliva dripped from its mouth. The low, guttural growl was constant, vibrating through the floor. "Jesus," Tom whispered. "That's not just any hybrid. That's a timber cross. You can't sedate these things easily. Their metabolism burns through tranquilizers like candy." "We have learned this," Halen said, looking visibly uneasy. "We were hoping you might calm it." Tom eyed the creature. "Did anyone try talking to it?" "Using vocal cues," Halen blinked. "We attempted vocal deterrence." "No, I mean, did anyone try being nice?" Halen said nothing. Tom sighed and stepped back from the glass. "Open the door." "That is not advisable. You called me in." "This is how I work." Halen hesitated, then tapped a command into the panel. The inner door slid open with a soft chime. Tom stepped through slowly, hands visible. The growling deepened. The animal was huge, easily 120 pounds of muscle and tension. Its ears were flat, eyes locked on Tom. He didn't move closer yet. "Hey, big guy," Tom said gently. "Easy." The creature snarled, baring its teeth. Tom crouched slowly, keeping his tone calm. "You're scared, I get it. Whole new world, weird smells, too many lights. You don't know who to trust." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled a strip of dried jerky. He tossed it underhand, letting it land a few feet from the wolfdog. The creature sniffed the air, then inched forward, eyes flicking between Tom and the food. It snatched the jerky and backed off to chew. "There you go," Tom murmured. "Not so bad, right?" He lowered himself to the floor, cross-legged now. The animal circled, still tense, but the growl had stopped. Tom slowly extended a hand, palm up. "You miss home, huh? Can't say I blame you." "I'd be mad too." After a long moment, the wolfdog crept forward, nose twitching. It sniffed Tom's hand, then gave it a tentative lick. Tom didn't move. Then, in a deliberate motion, the animal flopped onto its side and rolled halfway onto its back, tail thumping once against the floor. Tom smiled. Well, I'll be damned. He reached out and rubbed its belly slow and firm. The animal let out a low huff and relaxed, tongue lolling slightly. Behind the glass, Halen's jaw had slackened. It has. Submitted. Tom didn't look up. Nah, he's just decided I'm not a threat. There's a difference. I do not understand, Halen said. Why would physical contact pacify it? Tom stood slowly, rubbing his knees. It's about trust. Dogs, wolf dogs too, they read body language, tone. I showed him I wasn't here to dominate. I just treated him like a friend. Another voice chimed in from the calm beside Halen. Supervisor, the creature's vitals have stabilized. Cortisol levels are dropping. Tom stepped out of the cell, brushing fur from his jacket. Get him some real food, none of that protein paste crap. He needs meat and a quiet space to rest. Halen nodded slowly. Your methods are unconventional. Yeah, Tom said, rubbing his neck. But they work. He spent the next hour running a physical exam with Halen's team. The wolf dog, now nicknamed Ghost due to his thick, pale undercoat, had a few minor injuries from the containment scuffle. Scratches, bruising on the flank. Nothing broken. Tom cleaned the wounds himself, humming softly to keep the animal calm. As he worked, a junior tech approached, a pale green alien with wide eyes. You communicate with it through sound, not just sound, Tom said. It's everything: tone, posture, scent. These animals are experts in subtlety. You don't control them. You earn them. Ghost thumped his tail once, then went back to dozing under the scanner arch. Later that night, Tom sat in the staff commissary, nursing a cup of something vaguely resembling coffee. He was sore, tired, but oddly satisfied. Halen entered and slid a datapad across the table. The incident report. You are cleared for departure tomorrow. Tom glanced over the report but didn't sign it yet. What happens to him now? The creature will be transported to the Terran biodiversity sector on Zeta 4. They have enclosures designed for no. Tom cut in. He needs a handler, someone who understands him. He's not a specimen, he's a survivor. Halen studied him. You are volunteering. Tom leaned back. I'm requesting. There's a difference. After a long pause, Halen nodded. We will consider the request. In the meantime, you will rest. Tom stood, stretching his back. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere just yet. Back in the quarantine wing, Ghost was snoring softly, belly rising and falling in a steady rhythm. Tom stood outside the glass and watched him for a moment. It had been a long day, full of tension, snarling, and more than a little risk. But in the end, it came down to a belly rub. Funny, Tom thought. Galactic science and tech, and the solution was something a 6-year-old could have figured out. He turned and walked away, already planning the next steps. Ghost wasn't just a problem to be solved. He was a life, and Tom had made a promise, even if he hadn't said it out loud, and he kept his promises. An hour past first shift, the corridors of the Drelth Prime veterinary complex had settled into a hush. Most of the staff floated between rest cycles or data review. Tom stood in the diagnostics bay, one elbow propped against the counter, watching a slow rotation of skeletal scans on a backlit panel. Ghost's ribs showed faint calcification along the costal arch, not abnormal, but notable in an animal that young. You've been running too hard for too long, he muttered. Behind him, a soft clatter. He turned to find the junior tech from earlier lime-toned dermies, 4 elbows and a nervous twitch in their lower eye ridge watching him from the doorway. Dr. Keller, they said, voice hushed. You are still working. Tom, he corrected. And yeah, he's not out of the woods yet. You got a name, Yil. Nice to meet you, Yil. You got something on your mind, or are you just checking to see if I passed out on the lab bench? Yil hesitated, then stepped further in, holding a sealed container. I brought the protein compound you requested, synth meat blend. With marrow extract. Tom took it, poked the seal, sniffed. Smells like regret. He'll love it. Yil's eyes blinked asynchronously. You do not appear concerned by the threat the animal posed earlier. I'm not unaware, Tom said, reaching into a drawer for a feeding syringe. But he's not a threat, not anymore. You guys just startled the hell out of him. I've seen toddlers throw worse tantrums. We are not accustomed to such volatile behavioral variants. Most Terran imports exhibit predictability. Yeah, well, wolf dogs aren't exactly bred for docility. They're bred for endurance, intelligence, and a healthy skepticism of authority. You get loyalty, sure, but only if you earn it. Yill shifted their weight. May I observe the feeding? Tom gave a sideways nod. Grab a mask if you're worried about spatter. They walked side by side down the hallway toward Containment Room 14, where Ghost had been moved following the earlier episode. Glass walls lined each side of the corridor. Inside, creatures in various states of sedation or alertness blinked or tracked movement with eyes of every conceivable shape and orientation. When they reached the cell, Tom keyed in his ID. The door dilated with a gentle puff of sterilized air. Ghost was curled in the far corner, head resting on his front paws. His eyes opened as they entered, but he stayed still. Tom crouched and held out the container. Dinner's here. No more nutrient paste, I promise. He placed the bowl on the floor and backed away. Ghost stood, sniffed the air, and stalked forward. He investigated the food, then began to eat in slow, deliberate mouthfuls. Yill watched in silence. His behavior is entirely different. He's been out of survival mode for 12 hours. That'll do wonders for the temperament. He did not respond to any standard sedation agents, even aerosolized neuroleptics. Tom nodded. His liver's processing compounds quicker than your software expects. Mars-bred animals have higher metabolic rates. Gravity adaptation. You try to slow him down with chemicals, he just gets angrier. Yill tilted their head. Then how do you manage treatment? Cooperation, Tom said. He lets me near him because I don't treat him like a malfunctioning machine. Ghost had finished eating and was licking his paws. Tom stood and approached slowly. The wolfdog leaned into his hand as he checked the healing abrasions along the shoulder. I need to run a blood panel later, check for heavy metal exposure. That merchant ship he came in on probably didn't bother with shielding. Yill leaned in for a closer look. Why would exposure not present in baseline scans? Some metals bind to tissue over time. Doesn't show up unless you know what to test for. If he's got elevated barium or vanadium, it might explain the muscle tremors I saw earlier. There were tremors, subtle, right rear leg. He kept weight off of it when he turned. Yill blinked again. You observe much. Tom turned to face them. That's the job. You don't just treat symptoms. You read behavior, posture, breathing. You listen. They both turned as the door chimed. Halen entered, holding a thin, translucent folder. I have reviewed your request, he said. The biodome on Zeta-4 is unwilling to accept the animal under current status. They consider him high risk. Tom straightened. So what's the alternative? The board has authorized temporary custody. You may oversee his rehabilitation under our supervision. Duration, 72 hours. After that, reevaluation, Tom exhaled. That's a start. Understand, Halen continued, this is an exception. We do not generally permit handlers to assume authority over volatile specimens. He's not a specimen, he's a living being. That distinction is noted. Tom looked back toward Ghost, who now lay sprawled on his side, eyes half-lidded. I'll need access to the rec dome, he needs movement. Space. The dome is not designed for carnivorous species. Then we'll use the auxiliary ring. I'll file the hazard protocol myself. Halen tapped something into his pad, then nodded. Approved. But he must remain within sensor range at all times. Later, during the second shift, Tom led Ghost outside through the side gate of the auxiliary exercise ring. The compound had a low ceiling, sky sim panels overhead cycling through a dusk program. Artificial grass stretched to the edge of the dome, bordered by low fences and intermittent sensor towers. Tom unclipped the lead. Ghost trotted forward, then broke into a lope, circling the perimeter. His gait was uneven but strong. You see it? Tom asked. Yill stood nearby, datapad in hand. Yes, the hind limb lacks full extension. Tom knelt and called out, "Ghost, come!" The wolfdog pivoted, ran back, and sat in front of him, panting. Tom gently lifted the back leg, flexing the joint. "Hip's fine. It's the knee. Ligament strain. Probably from impact during the containment event." Yill tapped at the pad. "We can fabricate a brace." "Not yet," Tom said. "I want to try hydrotherapy first, less stress on the joint. Water exposure may cause distress." His origin ship had no aquatic modules. "I'll be in the tank with him." "He trusts me." Yill hesitated. "You are confident?" Tom looked at Ghost, who wagged his tail once. "I'm not guessing." By the following cycle, Tom had secured a slot in the rehabilitation bay's immersion chamber. The water was set to lukewarm, enriched with trace minerals to reduce inflammation. Ghost entered hesitantly, paws slipping once before Tom caught him. "It's just water," Tom said softly. "You'll float." He guided the animal gently, supporting his body as they moved through the shallow current. Ghost's legs paddled, then steadied. After a few laps, the tension in his frame eased. Yill watched through the glass, making notes. "He adapts quickly, because we give him the chance." They repeated the session twice over the next 2 days. By the end of the 72-hour window, Ghost had regained full range of motion and was responding to verbal cues from both Tom and Yill. In the final evaluation briefing, Halen stood with arms folded. "You have demonstrated reliable control," he said, "and the animal's recovery is ahead of schedule." Tom folded his arms. "So what now? You may extend custody with conditions." "I accept." Halen raised a brow. "You did not wait to hear them." "I already know what they are. Monitoring, reporting, no off-world transport without clearance. Fine, I'll work within that." Halen paused. "You are unlike others we have hosted." Tom shrugged. "You called me because what you had wasn't working." "That is true." As the meeting ended, Yill lingered. "Will you take him back to Earth eventually?" Tom said. "But not yet. He's not ready for cities or crowds. I'll keep him close." "Let him decide when he's ready." Ghost sat in the corner of the observation lounge, head on his paws, watching the movement of stars through the dome's overhead viewport. Tom sat beside him, shoulder brushing fur. "You're not just a case file," he said quietly. "You're a reminder." Ghost didn't answer, but he didn't need to. By the 4th rotation, the novelty of a human and wolf-dog duo roaming the Drelth Prime veterinary complex had worn off except among the cleaning crew, who now avoided Corridor 9 entirely after 3 separate incidents involving startled mops and 1 overturned bin of nutrient gel. Ghost had taken to patrolling the halls between treatment sessions, nose low, tail neutral, occasionally pausing to sniff electrical junctions with mild suspicion. Tom had secured a temporary workspace in an unused diagnostics prep room, which smelled faintly of ozone and floor polish. He sat cross-legged on the floor, assembling a makeshift support harness for Ghost's hind leg. A roll of flex poly, 2 adjustable clasps, and a strip of breathable mesh lay spread out on a data slate. Ghost watched from beneath the counter, head on his paws, eyes tracking Tom's fingers without blinking. "You ever consider helping?" Tom muttered. Ghost yawned, revealing a full set of teeth and 0 guilt. Footsteps approached, accompanied by the distinct shuffle of someone carrying too many things. A moment later, Yill appeared in the doorway, balancing a tray of 6 sample vials and what looked like a thermal flask. Their lower eye ridge twitched as they stepped over Ghost's back paw. "You requested limb temperature data from the hydrotherapy sessions," Yill said, placing the tray on the counter. "I also brought kelp broth, for you, not the animal." Tom raised an eyebrow. "Kelp broth, you complained of muscle fatigue after yesterday's session. This assists with recovery." "Allegedly, appreciated." He took the flask and sipped. It tasted like seawater and mashed spinach, but it was warm. "You know, you're the only one around here who doesn't treat Ghost like he's radioactive." Yill blinked slowly. "He has not attempted to bite me." High praise. They both turned as Ghost rose, stretched front to back in a long ripple, then padded toward the tray. His nose hovered over the sample vials, then dismissed them with a huff. He recognizes he's not the focus of attention, Yil said. So he intervenes. He's basically a jealous toddler with fangs. Tom returned to the harness, threading the mesh through the clasps. I'm thinking adjustable tension bands. We'll start with passive support, then let him build strength naturally. Will he tolerate wearing it? He wore a cone once, for 20 seconds, then he ate it. Yil considered this. Perhaps we should reinforce the fasteners. Yeah, I'm planning to. They worked in companionable silence for a while. Ghost circled once, then flopped beside the flask, exhaling with theatrical volume. Tom reached over and scratched behind his ears. Yil watched, arms folded. His behavior continues to improve. He's sleeping deeper, less pacing at night. That tells me he's not on edge anymore. The council requested a follow-up report. I'll send one before the next cycle. You think they're still considering relocation? Yes, but opinions vary. Some believe he should remain here under study. Tom shook his head. He's not a specimen. We did not understand him. That caused fear. It's not about understanding. It's about choosing curiosity over control. Yil tilted their head. That is not standard policy. Should be. Tom tested the final harness loop, then stood. All right, big guy, let's try this on. Ghost sniffed the contraption suspiciously but made no move to resist as Tom strapped it around his hind leg. The support hugged the joint snugly with enough give to allow range of motion. Walk, Tom said gently, stepping back. Ghost rose and took a tentative step, then another. The limb held. He walked a slow loop around the room, the brace shifting with each step but never slipping. Yil watched the readouts on their pad. Joint angle stability increased by 6%, Tom grinned. That's what I like to hear. Ghost sat, then lifted his paw and began chewing on the edge of the brace. Okay, yes, Tom said, pulling it away. Not a chew toy, Yil made a note. Perhaps a taste deterrent coating. I'll whip up something bitter, vinegar and chili extract maybe. That would prevent human interference as well, Tom laughed. Fair point. Later that cycle, they took Ghost out to the perimeter path behind the habitat dome. It was quiet, ringed by low hedges and illuminated in soft blue from the overhead skylight grid. No other staff ventured out this late. Ghost trotted beside Tom, tail swaying loosely, ears flicking at distant sounds. He's compensating less, Tom noted. Favoring the leg less on uneven ground, Yil nodded. Sensors confirm your method is effective. Told you, he just needed space to rebuild. They paused near a bench. Tom sat. Ghost lay down beside him, tongue lolling slightly. Yil remained standing. I had assumptions about humans. Oh, that your species seeks control, that you override natural systems with artificial ones. Tom leaned back. We do, sometimes, but not always. Some of us just try to listen. Ghost shifted closer, placing his head on Tom's foot. You earned his trust, Yil said. I didn't demand it. That helps. Stars blinked overhead, faint against the artificial dusk. Yil turned. I will inform the council. He is no longer a threat. Tom looked up. They won't argue, they might. But I will remind them we called for help and got compassion. Not the usual exchange rate, huh? No. But perhaps it should be. The next morning, Tom submitted his final report, complete with recovery footage, biosensor data, and a short note recommending Ghost remain under his personal care. By midday, the council sent a reply. Conditional approval for continued custody with quarterly evaluations and travel restrictions waived. No additional comments. Tom read the message twice, then closed the data slate. In the observation lounge, Ghost lay stretched across the sun-warmed floor, snoring softly. Yil entered, holding a small package. This arrived for you, they said. Tom opened it. Inside, a hand-stitched patch with the InterSpecies Emergency Response emblem modified. A wolfdog silhouette had been added. They're calling you the Beast Whisperer, Yil said. Unofficially, Tom groaned. Please don't let that stick. It will. Tom knelt beside Ghost and pressed the patch gently against his harness. You earned this too, he said. Ghost opened one eye, then closed it again, unbothered. Yill stepped back. "You are leaving tomorrow?" "Yeah, there's a new outpost on Wireless 7. They've got a pack of feral Terran imports causing chaos in the hydroponics bay. Will you bring him? He goes where I go." Yill gave a slight nod. "Safe travels, Tom Keller. You too, Yill. Don't let anyone sedate the janitor again." That was one time. They laughed. As evening fell, Tom walked the perimeter one last time. Ghost trotted ahead, nose to the ground, tail curved in a lazy arc. The stars above were real now, not simulated. Somewhere out there, other creatures were waiting, confused, scared, misunderstood. Tom didn't know if he could help all of them. But he'd helped this one, and that was enough.